Hi everyone. I want to talk about the first four measures of one of Bach's preludes. This is BWV 997, and if you don't know what that stands for, it's the German acronym for the catalog of Bach's works. So we all know what piece we're talking about. This was originally written for the lute, and I'm going to play the audio so you can just hear what it sounds like, and then I'll get into some analysis and discuss what's going on in the music. Okay, so there you go. Now, looking at the piece, pretty clearly we can see that we're in A minor. Looking at the key signature, you see there's no sharps or flats. And just because there's no sharps or flats, it's still, your piece is in a key. And this would either be C minor or C major or A minor. And just in the opening measure, you can see pretty clearly that you've got an A minor triad happening. You'll notice with this piece, and this is something you may not be used to unless you play the guitar or you play a keyboard instrument, you're going to see stem directions for different voices being indicated. And I guess if you're used to singing in a choir, this would be something you're comfortable with. But if you play an instrument that just is a single line instrument, like a flute or trumpet or something, the stem direction doesn't have as much significance for you. So in polyphonic music, and in the case of this piece being played today on the modern guitar, you're going to have voices delineated by whether the stems go up or down. And so this is clearly a two voice piece. And you've got the bass notes with the stems going down, and then you've got the upper voice, in at least at the beginning, the more active voice with the stems going up. This is why you see these rests written in conjunction with notes, right? We think of rests as being moments of silence, but because you have two voices, or you can even think of it as two instruments, this is why you have rests in what would maybe be considered strange spots. So I just want to point that out. And again, if you play an instrument that can handle multiple notes at the same time, this is something you're comfortable with. Now, I'm going to do a little bit of harmonic analysis, but to be honest, I don't think it's the best way to handle a piece like this. We're really used to dealing with harmony and looking at chords and that type of thing. And the truth be told, harmonic analysis is really a vertical way of looking at the music, right? You stack notes on top of one another. But in the case of this piece, and also Bach's music in general, he's really thinking horizontally. He's thinking about independent voices, okay? And so doing harmonic analysis likely won't tell us as much about the piece as we think it might. But let me get into it, and hopefully you'll see what I'm talking about. Starting at the beginning, it looks like the first couple of beats, you've got an A minor triad happening. So you've got an A in the bass, and then ascending A minor triad. There's another A, C, E, and so you get that outline of the chord. This note here, the B, that would be considered a passing tone. It's a non-harmonic tone. It doesn't fit in the chord, but it goes in stepwise motion from the A up to B up to C. And so it's a classic passing tone. And then another note that doesn't really fit with an A minor triad is this G sharp. This you could analyze it a few different ways. You could consider it an Appoggiatura, because it's coming from an E up to the G sharp. It's ascending by skip, in this case the distance of a major third, and then it's stepping up a half step to the A. And so the definition of an Appoggiatura is it's a non-harmonic tone that goes, it skips, and then usually it goes in the opposite direction, steps to the next chord tone. This is a little bit weird because it's ascending. You've got it going up a major third and then also up a major second. So You can analyze it as an appoggiatura, or you could even consider it a chord tone. So what would that be? Well, it would be the 7th. And so you get this A minor chord with a major 7th, which is a little bit strange. I guess you could say Bach is jazzy, and sometimes when people analyze him, it's because of this. When you're trying to do harmonic analysis and with polyphonic music, you come up with some weird things. Also, in the bass, the G natural is somewhat problematic for harmonic analysis because you've got this G sharp on top, G natural on the bottom, and what's going on here, it seems a little bit weird. As I break down what's happening in the independent voices, maybe it'll make more sense, but that's your dilemma here. So you've got this A minor chord. The G sharp's probably in an appoggiatura. What do you do? The G natural, it's skipping up a minor 7th from the bass note on the downbeat. So okay, it's a little bit strange. Let's keep going though. In the next measure, you've got an F in the bass. You can see pretty clearly here, this is an F major triad, FAC. The E can function as the 7th to the chord, so this is an F major 7 chord. Just like in the first measure, the B can be a passing tone. Okay, that's all fine and good. Have the same situation with the G sharp, so again, you can analyze it as an appoggiatura. You could even call it, if you wanted to, it would be an F major 7, sharp 9. Okay, and then you've got the E in the bass, so you know, if you want to analyze it as some kind of 7 chord, then you're going to say it's in 3rd inversion, right, with the E down in the bass. And okay, if you're dealing with Roman numerals, then this is a major 6, we're in a minor key, so it's a major 6 chord in 3rd inversion. We'll go with that for now. In the next measure, you have some kind of D minor thing happening. Okay, so you've got D, A, and C. You don't have the 3rd of the chord of the F, but that's okay. It would be minor because of the key we're in. No F sharp, and then the B again would be a passing tone. G sharp we can handle the same way with the appoggiatura thing. You could even say it's a D minor 7 chord, sharp 11. That's technically how you would want to analyze that. D minor 7, sharp 11. And then with the C down in the bass, now you're talking about it being also like the F major 7 chord in 3rd inversion. All right. So we can do it this way, but frankly, I don't think it tells us a whole lot about what's happening in the piece. In my mind, it's analogous to if you were looking at poetry and you started analyzing parts of speech, saying like, okay, well, this is functioning as this is a noun, this is an adjective, this is an article, this is a parenthetical phrase. You can do it. And maybe it's okay, but I don't know how much it really tells you about what's happening in the work. Let's do something a little bit different here. Let's get rid of this stuff and talk about the voices, what's happening with the independent voices. All right, so in the first measure, you get this ascending thing happening in the upper voice, right? Da 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 da, right? And then what happens in the next measure? It actually does exactly the same thing. Da 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 da. Look at that, right? Then the third measure, wow, same thing. Da 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 da. And then in the fourth measure, you get this descending scale thing happening. It looks right in here. This is a pretty clear dominant E major 7 thing happening. And then you land on A minor, right? A and C. So that all makes sense, and it functions in a way that we're sort of used to. But these opening 3 measures, the upper voice, it just repeats. And remember, a prelude is a piece that's typically based in improvisation. it's something where a player would warm their fingers up before they would start the other movements of a suite. A suite is usually a collection of dance tunes, and the prelude was typically the first one. So this, you can see, Bach comes up with this idea in the first measure, da 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 da, and he likes it. He says, I'm going to try it again, da 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 da, and then, hey, one more time, let's go with this, da 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 da, and then you're off and running, right? If you look at the bass voice, it also seems to be, at least at the beginning, you've got this big skip here. You've got this jump up a minor seventh, and then it descends, right? But that opening leap is somewhat strange. If you look at the Urtext edition of this work, and the Urtext is usually considered the earliest source or one of the best primary sources to look at for a piece before editors get their hands on it and start changing a bunch of things. In the Urtext edition, the notes here that I've circled, except for the first one, so these bass notes, the G natural, the F, these guys, these are all in the original Urtext written an octave lower than what you see here. Okay, and it's because this piece has been today transcribed for the modern guitar. It's not typically played on the lute anymore, but the lute back in Bach's day had more strings. It had more bass note options, and so these notes that I've just underlined, they're all an octave below what you see here. And if you look at it in that context, you start with the A, then the G natural, it's just a step down, the F, step down, E, step down, step down, step down. It is just a descending natural minor scale. That's all that's really happening there. And you combine these things, two things together, you can see how the voices are moving independently, but it's not really so much about trying to analyze, using functional harmony terms and coming up with these strange sort of chords. So let me know what you think. You can leave a comment and I'll get back to you if you're nice. And if you're not, that's fine too. But let me know if you agree or disagree, and we'll go from there. Until next time, take care.